What's up, YouTube? It's Ask the Young One with CreateHigherVibrations.com. Today I wanted to make a quick video and talk a little bit about how to get through each day carrying the pain and sorrow from these toxic relationships that we get dealt. And I have a little bit of a take on this stuff. A lot of it is because of my own healing and how I have chosen to perceive things instead of how I used to perceive things. A lot of it came down for me was getting out of my ego and getting into my heart and being able to truly embrace and literally take on my pain and really give it into my heart space rather than my head space. One of the biggest things that helped me was just embracing the pain, embracing what this pain can teach me, what this situation will teach me, what feeling this will teach me, embracing these things as I went along. And I want to make sure I express this as well. It's not an overnight process. This is a lifelong process. These relationships are just kind of the Kickstarter for them, because they're going to trigger the deepest cores of our very being, and they're going to trigger us in the most painful ways. And this is where it's very important, because this is where mindfulness becomes one of our biggest allies in the healing process, and one of our biggest allies in not allowing things to steal our happiness. These things are kind of like really, they're difficult to talk about, because a lot of it is, people are where they are, and not everybody this won't land with everybody. And I don't want to take away from anyone's experience. This is just really a lot of it on how I chose to deal with mine and chose the path that it took me down. And this is, again, a lot of times, even with coaching, this is why I'm able to do what I'm able to do whenever I coach with someone. And what I mean by that is, when I went from my headspace and went from my ego into my heart, it created more self-love, more self-compassion, more self-empathy, more being able to see my own darkness rather than allowing myself to respond or react out from that darkness. Whenever I was, becoming able to embrace your pain allows you to truly feel and get into the core of your own dark side, to the core of that inner child that is full of self-doubt, that doesn't believe in themselves, that doesn't feel good enough, that doesn't feel lovable. You get into the cores of these things, and when you're able to work through those things, that's when you're able to start seeing it in other people. You can see their pain, so it helps you express and be able to coach or whatever you're doing with it. It's a friend or whatever, you're being a support system, whatever. It allows you to see that, instead of seeing maybe if they're reacting out from a very bad place from that pain. When you're able to see your own side, your own dark side, you're able to see others, and that creates an entirely different world of how we respond to things. And it goes back to the same thing when we are embracing our own inner pain, and we're seeing it from our heart and from our a place connected here rather than up here, and we're not thinking our way through the pain, instead we're feeling our way through the pain. We're able to embrace it much deeper, on a much deeper level, on a very deeper, on a more of a soul level, rather than an ego level, rather than a mind level. One of the biggest things that this experience has ever taught me is how to master pain, and how to really see and feel what these experiences are teaching me. Not necessarily the toxic experience, I've went through that, but as we go in life, pain is inevitable. We're going to continue to face parts of life that are going to create pain and they can create suffering, but it's all going to depend on how we embrace this within us and in view, what is this teaching us? Where will I grow from this? Will I grow from out of my ego pride into humility and live from a heart space of humility and full acceptance of all that I am and what I am, and being able to function from that place, being able to gain more empathy for humanity and being able to express that, seeing a homeless person, rather than judging them, we give to them because we know that we could one day be there, because just like, before we thought we were in this loving, great relationship, but yet we were in the worst relationship and experience of our actual lives, and we just didn't know it. And in reality, we thought we may never experience that, but we have. So it's the same with how we view everything. That pain will teach us to have a different view of the world and humanity. It's not about, it helps us realize on a deeper level as well that, we're in this in a oneness. All of humanity, all people, when you can see pain, when you can feel pain, and you can really watch how others are reacting or responding to it, it truly, you embrace that even more, because you realize, people are in this you're almost like you're in this together, and how we get through this life and what we can learn from our pain. And it's like in other videos, and I talk about loving what is, loving what comes up. Embrace that pain and love that pain, because it's teaching you something that is going to take you to a different level, if that's what you choose to do. You can also choose to wallow in the ego part of it and remain in a victim mindset, and not realize that no matter how much we blame another person, and no matter how we didn't deserve that, because we didn't, it's not our fault, but at this point of it, that is that, and we now have no choice but to heal, but to save ourselves. Like that's what it's showing us. It's really showing us how to dig deeper, and it will create the change that is needed in order for us to get to a more fulfilled life. When we begin to master our pain, and we begin to see what the experiences are teaching us and what they're showing us about ourselves, rather than pointing our fingers outward, then we're beginning to truly see the beauty of it, rather than feeling the suffering of it. And it's not an easy task. That's why I said this may not land for some people, and it's not something that a lot of people are choosing to do. There's still people that are where they are on their path, and that's fine. We're all in different places, and we're always all going to be in different places on this journey. And depending on where we choose to go, going within for me was my way of finding myself. A lot of people say I've lost myself. Well, you're losing that sense of self because there's so many things that we've avoided in the past that are now present, that are now here, now in our face, and a lot of it we want to push back down. But instead, if we embrace what is being felt, everything that we're feeling is coming from a place deeper inside of us. And so I wanted to just touch on this a little bit. This isn't meant to invalidate anybody. It's meant to encourage you to truly embrace what is in here and be able to self-reflect of how it is out there and what you're experiencing, and realizing what things are showing you, whether it's a painful situation or whatever it is, and then how you go about it. There's some motivational people that I listen to, and they preach it all day, to embrace your pain, to love the pain, because that pain is what is going to take you to the other side. Pain can create fears. But in reality, that fear is now showing us that what we're truly wanting is on the other side of fear. And the only way to get to it is to go into the fear and truly face that with courage and our hearts, and not our egos, and not our pride, and not our minds, and not try to think our way into it, but instead feel our way. Not just, this isn't about just embracing pain and feeling our way through that as well. It's about embracing life and feeling our way through life and following deep what's in our hearts and not what's in our minds. And when we do that and we start to recognize these things, it gives us an entirely different perception. Our minds, when we think in our minds, we're only functioning from that programming, from that belief. And when we get into the heart and we start realizing how different and how big this world is and how beautiful this world is, we're actually gonna start seeing things from a vision literally that we have never seen before. I can remember when I was actually going through that part of things, and this was even before any of the relationship stuff, but I was actually beginning to wake up, and I remember thinking, like, there's a whole different side of this world that I didn't even know existed, because I was only living in such limited mind. And when I began to open my heart to things, it started to open my mind to things. And when I began living from humility, from empathy, from feeling and compassion and kindness, it changes in all that we are and all that we do. And it's extremely important. And I understand a lot of people are going through the toxic relationships. A lot of people are lost. A lot of people are very confused, and a lot of people are suffering in a lot of ways. So I'm trying to put this message out to use mindfulness. Really is the number one first tool to really truly embrace and learn, is to become mindful of what it really is teaching you. And I'll wrap this video up with something I actually learned through Buddhism. And it doesn't matter what religion you are. It's not even about religion for me. This is just where I learned it. But we can look at life kind of like, if you got to get across the river for the pain to stop, but you got to carry this big rock, you need a boat. And you put the rocks in the boat and it'll take you across the river. If you don't have the boat, you're just going to sink. So mindfulness is almost the same way. Mindfulness can be your boat, and the rock is the pain, and you got to get through it using the boat to heal the pain, to embrace it, to be able to function better on a daily basis without sinking every day in this gut-wrenching, mind-racing thoughts. And we connect more into our hearts and what we're feeling, and we heal this darkness within us, and then we can see the darkness in others. And then it will really open up that you will truly know that everything this person was triggering within you were things that were healable within you. And you truly know that for them to be acting and doing the things that they do is on them. That is their darkness reacting to life. That is their inward chaos coming outward. And mindfulness will teach us to be able to see these things, to feel these things, to be able to know, instead of going into ego mode, it will teach us to go into our heart mode, and then we won't react to these things in the same way. We won't react to the pain the same way. Instead, we'll embrace it in what it's showing us. And when we begin to do this inward, it will reflect outward. Our lives will reflect outward what we're feeling inward. So for me, when I'm in life every day, I don't want to reflect outward and put my burdens of me onto other people. I want to feel the kindness, feel compassion, feel the empathy, feel the drive in my heart rather than the drive in my mind, and that will propel outward in my life. And so that's how I literally every day is just embracing that presence and embracing what I'm feeling and allowing it to be a part of me, and so that it comes and it goes, and I don't put that out there through reactions. It's like if we're angry, a lot of times, being mindful is, where's this anger coming from? Because it's coming from a deeper place. It's coming from something that we're missing inside of ourselves, and we're trying to defend that, to not to avoid it. And when we can realize these things, no matter what it is, I can only speak from myself, because I don't know, everybody reacts or responds different to things. But the biggest key in this video that I wanted to put out is to understand mindfulness and to embrace that practice, because that is your boat that will carry you through the hard times. That is your boat that will carry you through the pain as you travel and flow through life. And that is an extremely healing process, and you cannot go wrong by embracing mindfulness. And so I wanted to share that, and I hope this plants a seed for some people. And again, I hope it lands for some people. Some I know it won't, but I pray that it does, because from my heart to yours, I want to see everyone reflecting outward the life that they want. I want this outer world to reflect such beauty for you, because of the beauty that is coming from the inner world. So I hope that helps, and I will go for now, and I believe that's it. So namaste.